Hi Raj, how are you?
Hi, Vijeta. I'm well. You?
I'm all right. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming back to my channel and doing this video.
It's a pleasure because I think I was just recalling how many people I've met who have watched some of our previous videos and reached out to me. So, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me again.
No, that's absolutely my pleasure. I think it's been a little over a year the last time we caught up, and I thought that there must have been some things that have changed. So if we can give the viewers or subscribers some added information, as to what has changed compared to then now in terms of the job market.
Yeah,
I have listed a few questions for you today. These are what I could think of or have been asked by some of those subscribers.
right.
So if you don't mind taking those questions one by one, and if something else pops in, we'll just take up those as we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. So let's start with the first question that I have for you today, Raj, which is what are the current job market trends?
Sure. I think we spoke about it in our last video, and I was probably a lot more upbeat the last time compared to now because
Yeah.
I have the benefit of hindsight. Um, just key figures, unemployment rate in Australia is still on the lower side. It's about 4.2%. So when compared to um, global trends or the trends for the countries from which a lot of migrants are coming into Australia from, it's on the lower side, which is good. Inflation is trending right now at about 3.8%, unemployment at 4.2%. So those are some sort of financial, economic, and job-related current trends. The There is still a demand for very specific skills and very specific industries, which obviously happen to be the occupations which are listed for skilled migrants to apply for. So whether they are in health, ICT, engineering, science-related professions, transport, education, social welfare. So I'm kind of naming almost everything because the reality of Australia is that it has a negative birth rate. And the only way population increases in Australia, about 75% of the population increase each year, happens through migration.
Yeah.
So as a result, any and every profession, but obviously the government has to cater for people who will be coming with skills which are in high demand and low supply within Australia. So if it's IT, it's not all IT roles. It's things like cybersecurity, AI, people who are robotic engineers, full stack developers. But then there also is a demand for very specific within IT, very specific sort of programming languages which are in a growth in Australia. Professions like business analysis, project management. But again, very specific experiences are required.
Hmm.
So it's best to do a lot of research around this.
Perfect.
If I think of same time last year,
Yeah.
there was a slightly different landscape for employment. Probably 2024, the last, you can say 9 months now, has been one of the toughest I have seen in my being in Australia for 27 years. A lot of changes due to the pandemic, following the settlement of things post-pandemic. So global, geopolitical, socio-economic conditions globally are leading to this upheaval right now, which seems to at the moment seems to be that it'll remain in place for at least another 6 to 12 months at least. So
Okay.
people are having to wait longer
Hmm.
to secure jobs. And I'm not just talking about newly arrived skilled migrants. Even locals have had to wait much longer than they used to wait. There's a number of organizations that are restructuring. There's a number of redundancies happening across Australia. Workplaces are changing and changing shape.
Hmm.
So that's what's the current trend at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you. I do have some questions that have already come up in my mind, but let's see, maybe the following questions would anyways encompass
Yeah,
those.
so your viewers should essentially do research,
Yeah.
find out. So that's the tip for them. So trends are what they are, but they should do their research about their profession, their skills, their industry.
Hmm. Amazing. Thank you. Now, the second question that I have here, Raj, is what is the typical recruitment process followed in Australia?
It's a good question, and it's different for different industries. So
Yeah.
I'll give you an instance. If it's the public sector, it's where written communication is highly valued. So it is evaluated during the process. Applicants are expected to not only submit a resume or a CV, but also cover letters, extensive cover letters, which address key selection criteria.
Yeah.
There are set end dates for applications ending, and processes start only after the end dates pass. And usually, panel interviews are the norm. That means you are subjected to meeting 3 to 4 people at any given time. And you could have one or maybe 2 rounds of interviews within the public sector.
Yeah.
And you may also be expected to undertake technical or psychometric tests depending on what the role is about.
Yeah.
Whereas in the private sector, the practices are largely a lot more nimble, more concise, quicker.
Yeah.
Speed and agility is kind of what's used to hire. There's a war for talent amongst the private sector, so they really pull out all stops to secure people. Having said that, large global tech companies can conduct several rounds of interviews, so they can seem really slow in what they're doing. Even in the private sector, you could have a panel interview.
Hmm.
Definitely expect multiple rounds,
Yeah.
depending on the seniority of the position. But also, technical and psychometric tests can be part of the process.
Okay. Are you able to say with confirmation that maybe public sectors take longer to fulfill a position versus private? Or is there a norm like that, or it would depend totally again?
No norm as such, but yeah, generally the public sector roles are advertised longer,
Yeah.
and then there's an end date, and interviews definitely only start after that end date. Whereas in the private sector, uh, interviews may commence as soon as the roles advertised and they have enough applicants in the
Mm,
pool. They may not wait for the job advertisement to expire.
okay. That's a good tip. So essentially, if there's someone who's targeting a a public position and a private position,
Yeah.
both, they probably should prioritize the submission of the private application first, because public would
Yes.
still wait until such time all the applications have come in. Okay.
Absolutely.
I didn't know about that actually. Amazing. Thank you. Awesome. Now, the next one that I have for you, Raj, is how should migrants tailor their resume and cover letter to Australian standards? We've already established this in our prior videos that they are very important. You
Yeah.
can't just have one resume floated for all the positions that you're applying. But what tips would you like to give so they could tailor them?
Um, Look, the as far as the resume is concerned, it should be not too long. So I would suggest about a page for every 5 years.
Yeah.
Having met a bulk of the clients I have who are skilled migrants, they are mid-career, so they've worked for about not more than about 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, and so they would be within that 3 to 4 page uh, for their resume. And what it requires is very, clearly specified um, areas for your contact information, a professional summary, uh, key skills, and relevant experience, which should also emphasize what their accomplishments and achievements have been from their career. If
Yeah.
they can be quantified, that'd be fantastic. So using bullet points for clarity.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of information available on what a resume should look like. Again, do your research. Look at what's there are sites like Seek.com, which is a job board, a very popular job board, number one job board in Australia. They have a lot of articles and even have examples of what a CV should look like.
Yeah.
Definitely include cover letters when applying for roles directly to companies in Australia. And within the cover letter, address the selection criteria which is listed in the job ad. So that's what I would say would be the bare essentials as far as uh, applications in Australia are concerned, as far as resume, cover letter is concerned. Should research what the trends are, and there's a lot of information available on that.
I remember my time that even with so much information, I would make my cover letter and resume and send it to you for review. And they would go through so many revisions because these are such important documents, and
Yeah,
you never wanted us to ever, submit a B grade document.
absolutely. And look, the main point to consider is that a resume and cover letter don't get you the job, they get you
Yeah.
the conversation, they get you the meeting, they get you a seat at the table to discuss your skills, your experience, your knowledge, your capability. So it's an important. They are important documents, but they don't lead you to the job. They lead
Hmm.
you to the conversation. The conversation leads you to the job.
Yeah. Perfect. Is there something that you would say is an absolutely no go for a resume or a cover letter?
Yeah, look, a lot of my migrants that I've worked with, when I see their first, their attempt at a resume, it has sometimes information of a personal nature, like their marital status, things like that, which are absolutely not required. Sometimes some migrant-based resumes have included their photograph.
Yeah.
So in Australia, that's not the trend or the requirement. So
Yeah.
unless the job ad specifically says that for the nature of the role, your photograph is required, you don't have to present your photograph on your resume.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
would,
even
yeah,
gender, we could skip the gender and the date of birth. What do you think?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And the next one is, what are the networking opportunities that are available for different industries here?
Sure. Look, Australia has a number. So during COVID, they all disappeared, unfortunately,
Yeah.
went online. So there's still a lot of online industry events that still take place, but increasingly, there's more opportunity to have industry events which are at a location and you can go and actually meet people in person. There are professional associations. So, for example, if somebody's an accountant or a medical professional or a legal professional, there's a number of professional associations which hold regular events and conduct seminars and uh, cover topics which are current. Online platforms, there are a number of events which take place on platforms such as LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and they're great to expand your professional network. But what a lot of migrants tend to not do is to go out there and meet and mix with people beyond, you know, the country they are coming from.
Hmm.
So every suburb in at least metropolitan areas within Australia have um, clubs like Toastmasters,
Yeah.
which is where people go and in a group attend the Toastmasters meeting to improve their public speaking skills. And you meet people from different walks of life, different backgrounds. A lot of local people attend Toastmasters clubs across Australia. So that's one great example of where you can network and meet people. If migrants are coming to Australia with children, the school becomes a great place to meet other parents
Yeah.
and network in that sort of sense.
Hmm.
So there's a number of opportunities which can be availed.
Because my technical skills are negative, if you can help me understand as a layman that if I go on LinkedIn, for example,
Yeah,
to look up some opportunities, say in the accounting area,
sure.
how should I find that information?
You mean looking for roles, right?
Looking for the networking
Networking,
opportunities
sure.
in my industry.
Sure. Look, again, the two premier bodies in Australia, the CPA and CA,
Yeah.
I would say follow them. They
Okay.
run a lot of events which will be advertised on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then they are either online events or they will be events which will be in person in the state where you are. So
Okay.
you will be able to get the information.
Okay. So start following those bodies first, and then they
Yeah,
publish the information.
absolutely. So if somebody is a human resource professional, RE is the body for the Australian Human Resource Institute. So they advertise their events in a number of ways and in different states and different cities.
Okay. Sorry, what was the name of the body?
RE,
IR
AHRI, the
H. Okay.
Australian Human Resource Institute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any such body names more body names that you can throw out?
Um, these are the ones: CPA for
Yeah.
accountants,
Yeah.
CA as well, RE for human resource professionals. Um, yeah, no other comes to my mind right now, but
Okay.
there's a number. There's a number of them. There are
Yeah.
SIPs for CIPS for people who are in supply chain and procurement profession.
Hmm.
So
I'm
CIPS.
guessing people who come from that industry are already aware because I do not belong to any of these, is
Yeah,
probably why.
they would be. They
Yeah.
would be aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Uh, what's the next one? The next one is that what are some of the common workplace cultures and norms in Australia? I was actually once even asked by someone as what the dress code is or how should you dress up. So, though that's just a subset of this question, but what are the general common cultures and norms?
So my advice for anybody arriving fresh in Australia or already here and looking for work, especially, is to really understand Australia first,
Yeah.
and then with that comes the workplace culture.
Hmm.
So Australia has a very direct communication style. There's a lot more equality. Hierarchies are non-existent, and workplaces are quite flat. Um, and managers tend to be more approachable and collaborative.
Yeah.
Elements like punctuality is very crucial. If you say you're going to do something at a certain time, you're expected to deliver
Hmm.
or explain much in advance why you can't and ask for an extension, which will be provided. So there's a lot more fairness. Collaboration and teamwork is highly encouraged. In general, I'm speaking generally, in
Hmm.
Australia, honesty is highly appreciated. You being straightforward, um, being transparent, and also expecting transparency in all your interactions.
Hmm.
So that's what I've experienced here in the time I've spent here. This is my third decade in Australia.
Hmm.
Workplaces tend to be a lot more relaxed. There is a friendly atmosphere, but professionalism, remains very important.
Yeah.
You were speaking about dress codes. Depends on the firm and depends on the organization and the role that you're in. If you're customer facing, you could be expected to dress more formally than others, and depends on the industry as well. But over time, across 3 decades, I can say that as far as men is concerned, that hardly anybody wears a tie anymore,
Hmm.
or even a business suit anymore. So it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
So the best thing is to again do some research, find out, um, come prepared, because when I do work with some clients who approach me prior to even departure from the country they're coming from,
Yeah.
they're able to gather all this information and they're able to pack accordingly.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And I think that's probably also told at the time of recruitment or maybe post recruitment as to what the dress code would be. So it's not something that we should be really bothered because
yeah.
it'll be told. For example, my organization did.
So if you if you get a interview invitation,
Yeah.
you could ask the recruitment consultant who's speaking to you
Yeah.
if they are in-house or if they are a recruiter from an agency. Both will have the information as to what is the dress code
Yeah.
for. Yeah. So
Very
it's
good.
something.
Small tip, but a good tip. I could have never
Yeah.
thought of ever reaching out to them to ask.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Because every firm is different, every organization is different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, most migrants want to come to Australia for better opportunities.
Yeah.
So better opportunities can be had, but doing research about, these small things can make a big difference.
Hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And the next question is that are there any government or non-government organizations that assist new migrants with the job placements?
Um, I think they are, however, their resources are really stretched.
Yeah.
I think migration is one of those transition opportunities which are best availed by people who are uh, open minded, they are curious, they would love to get more information before taking this step.
Yeah.
Um, but I still surprisingly meet a lot of people who have done pretty much minimal research before taking this major step in their life.
Guilty.
Yeah, and I always say that sometimes I find people have done more research when they are buying a car
Hmm.
than about Australia before landing in Australia.
Hmm.
So one of the things I always find astounding is when I meet people, if they've been here for a few months, and supposing they are from any of the states like New South Wales, and they are busy telling me that they've been here for a few months and they're finding it very hard and they can't land that job yet, the role they're looking for. And I simply have to ask them, okay, what have you done? What's your preparation? And they explain to me that yeah, they've done their preparation, and ask them who's the Premier of New South Wales. That's the senior most political person in the state, and they don't have the answer for that. And this is sometimes after 3 months, sometimes even a year after arrival. They haven't taken interest in local affairs. They are not reading the newspaper. They're not watching the local news. So all this makes it difficult. But there are government agencies, there are not-for-profit organizations, but they're severely stretched and they can't give individual one-on-one attention.
Hmm.
If they do any work, it's group work. You may not get the answers you're looking for.
Hmm.
There are some, so it's best, it's very very prudent for migrants to come in armed with research, come with a lot of energy and positivity, and learn about Australia, learn to represent yourself well. Those things make a lot more difference
Yeah. Okay. So
rather
not a
than
very good idea to expect tailor made solutions and suggestions from them.
yeah, rather than depend on government assistance.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. And the next one is what are the legal requirements for working in Australia?
Seems very simple, but definitely you need the right visa to work in Australia.
Yeah.
um, Largely, migrants have to have a valid visa that permits them employment,
Yeah.
whether they are a skilled visa holder or a working holiday visa holder.
Yeah.
Because employers in Australia will definitely do a check on your work rights through an online system that's available to them.
Yeah.
Other things that migrants should really know is that there is a system, a peak body, which is Fair Work Australia,
Hmm.
which enables, enacts all the laws related to employment, and they ensure employee rights, minimum wages, conditions, and very importantly, workplace safety.
Hmm.
So things like that. And migrants should definitely, on arrival, get a tax file number for tax purposes, understand about superannuation, which exists in Australia,
Yeah.
which is about 11.5% of the wages go into superannuation,
Yeah.
which is like a retirement fund.
Yeah.
So understanding and complying with all these workplace rights and obligations are very important. I think that's where uh, most migrants, are slow to research these things, and I think that they will benefit tremendously if they were able to do that prior to arrival.
100% agree. Thank you. And the next one is, what are the best job search platforms and agencies to use?
It's a question I get asked a lot, and the answer really is that any any portal which serves you the right job is a good portal.
Yeah,
The three most popular ones are LinkedIn, Seek.com, and Indeed.com. They are probably the top three in no particular order.
yeah,
Um, the various variants could be that for public sector roles, you could sign up with the relevant local or state government career site.
yeah,
New migrants are not Australian citizens, so they're not eligible for federal government roles.
yeah,
And you can also sign up for job alerts with some private sector organizations as well,
yeah,
provided they have good career pages on their website. So you can sign up there for alerts.
yeah.
Um, but there are many ways. I would say networking, having a strong network, using a network for job search is probably a very underutilized
Mm,
area. And most migrants don't have a network, but they can build a network. And
yeah,
some of the activities we spoke about, which is to go out there, meet people, meet locals, find avenues to meet people locally who within your neighborhoods, within the schools your children go to. Those are some tips for networking in Australia to combine with these job search platforms.
hmm. Trillion. Thank you. And what cost of living considerations should they be aware of in different Australian cities?
Australia is a great place to live, great place to have a fantastic career, bring up your family, raise your children, but it's also a very expensive place.
Yeah,
So cost of living in different cities is different. So again, do your research. Sydney and Melbourne probably are the most expensive when with housing, transportation, more distances to cover, dining out, and rent in these cities in the central areas can be really steep.
yeah,
And because of inflation, which is a global phenomenon at the moment, things like utilities, groceries, cost of transport also add to expenses. So, though while Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide still are a bit more affordable,
hmm,
um, the prices for rents, etc., are going up rapidly.
yeah.
So I'm sure you've experienced that being in
Oh, yes.
Adelaide
I
for the
did a video
last.
of cost of living in a year, and things almost went double when I wanted to do another video the following year. So
Yeah.
they've really changed. Yeah.
Another question I get asked a lot is how much should people budget for?
Hmm.
It's a very tough question to answer because everyone's lifestyle is different.
Yeah.
So it depends on your lifestyle. But I would say, including rent, which is going up really, really rapidly, come prepared because the time from landing to landing a job is, I think, has doubled in the last 2 years. So a few years ago, when anybody would land here, I could say that between 3 to 6 months with the right approach, they land a job. That even with all the support I provide, or people use other means from a guidance and coaching uh, perspective, those wait times are 6 to 12 months now.
Hmm.
So people have to gear up, come prepared, do their research, do their preparation, have the right documents, the right resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, interview prep, build their network from before uh, departing from their home country. Those people are streets ahead of those who are just landing and thinking that they got the visa and they'll easily get a job now because the government of Australia is inviting migrants. It's a highly competitive process, for getting a job, and you'll be competing with a lot of people right now who are looking for work. Fewer jobs compared to previous few years, just because of the economic conditions, and you'll be competing with local talent for these jobs. People who have been here before for a few years, people who were born here.
Hmm.
So it is a very competitive landscape at the moment. So come
Hmm.
prepared,
Yes.
do your research.
And I think those were actually my list that I had, but now organically I've just thought of one question,
Sure.
which I've tried handling in the past with whatever little knowledge that I have. But now, because we've got you as the master, suppose there's a couple of months left for someone to reach Australia, and they are on those job portals and they find a job. Would you suggest them applying for those jobs, even when they're not in the country, or would you advise against?
It totally depends on the profession.
Okay.
I've had clients who have applied for jobs while they were still overseas
Yeah.
and they managed to secure those roles,
Okay.
but they were in professions which are in extremely high demand and low supply.
Yeah.
Um, so typically, I've found that when anybody tries to do that, it results in a lot of confusion
Hmm.
because they only get rejected or there's no response.
Hmm.
So it also leads to a loss of confidence.
Yeah.
So I think if somebody doesn't prepare themselves with the right documentation, which is the resume and the cover letter, um, chances of them getting a call are quite remote. There are ways to get a local phone number,
Yeah.
uh, which they can research, um, so that they can at least start getting those calls. But the moment the call comes through and you declare that you are not yet in Australia, the interest from the other party who's calling you is bound to have a severe dent.
Hmm.
So there needs to be a really strong preparation so that you could be at that phase where you can feel those screening calls and do well
Hmm.
enough for them to feel okay, let's proceed with this person. So there's a lot of preparation required for that.
Yeah. And in that attempt, they might just be exhausting those options.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of organizations here have that criteria that if you've applied and if you haven't been selected, there should be a bit of a wait period before you apply again.
Some organizations have that,
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah, that's quite rare.
Okay. Oh,
Mostly you
okay.
can, yeah, it's quite
Okay.
rare,
Okay.
unless it's specific that you can't apply for, say, 6 months or 12 months or things like that.
Okay. All right. That was good to know. So even if they've lost that opportunity and that same organization comes up with another opportunity when they are now in Australia, they can apply. Okay.
Yeah. So the typical sort of formula, if you can say, I suggest to my clients is to prepare, practice, then you arrive, then you'll be able to perform well at these sort of job processes, the job recruitment processes. Without preparation and practice, it's luck of the draw.
Hmm.
So in order to increase your chances, prepare, research.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of another thing, and excuse me, and you're more than welcome to skip the question.
Now go ahead.
But depending on the people that you've been contacted by, is there something that you would like to tell the subscribers as to who are the people who should contact you and who are the people who should not, depending on what their intent is?
Look, I'm not close to contact from anyone. Mostly people who do end up contacting me are people who are really curious. They have a strong sense of the fact that if you research, you'll be in a better place. Career transitions take time, and career transitions when you're moving countries take a lot more time. Um, there are no instant results. You have to be patient, resilient, you have to persevere. uh, work hard on the preparation. So people who are, who have a can-do attitude. Because if I speak to any employer in Australia saying, what are you looking for in the resource you're about to hire? They all say that yes, technical skills are really essential. This ability to do the job is really essential. But once that is in place, the most important factor is the attitude of the person.
Hmm.
So generally, when people contact me after they watch one of these videos, typically they are people with the right attitude because they're trying to find answers.
Yeah.
They're trying to do research, and find out more about Australia. So typically, when they contact me, it's a pleasure to deal with them. So
Yeah. Amazing. Beautifully answered. Thank you. I think I put you in a spot there. Sorry about that.
not at all.
Awesome. I think those were my questions, Raj, for today. And if you're okay, I could leave your contact details in the description box for someone who might want to reach out.
Absolutely.
Also, if I might need a favor from you, is if you can share the list of those websites that you mentioned, the government portals where someone could register for different states. For
Yeah.
example, for South Australia, I think I work for
I work
SA.
for SA. Yeah.
Yeah. So similarly for different states, I do not know. If you can help me with those links, maybe I could put that down as well in the description box.
Sure, I can send that to you, and you can
Okay.
include that in the your comments.
Beautiful. Lovely. If you have anything else, otherwise, I'm happy to close.
Well, this is fantastic. Look, it's a great opportunity whenever I meet with you to record these sessions, and reach out to people who are about to come to Australia. Um, Even though a lot of what I said may sound like it's a bit of negative sentiment with the market trends, job market, Australia still has a lot of opportunity because exactly what I said earlier, that 75% of the population growth in Australia year on year is happening due to migration.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of opportunity, but come prepared. Don't come underprepared or unprepared thinking just because Australia has a negative birth rate, it'll be easy to get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's increasingly difficult to get a job due to all sorts of factors, including changing employment landscape, artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, and quite ironically, a lot of offshoring of jobs
Yeah.
to countries including India, for example.
Mm.
There's a lot more offshoring of jobs happening. So
Mm.
people are trying to come to Australia, whereas jobs are being offshored.
Yeah. True. It's happening with my organization as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
come prepared, That's my key tip. Come
Yeah.
prepared to be not just with knowledge and information, but to be resilient, to be resourceful, to people want a better life, so it doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
A better life comes with hard work.
Yeah.
Come prepared to work hard.
Beautiful. On that lovely note, Raj, thank you so much once again. I'll see you soon. Take care.
My pleasure. Thank you.
See ya.